Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the RCC meeting for tonight. I am pleased to introduce our speaker for tonight, who probably really doesn't need an introduction because we all know him because he's part of our group and he helps out with coordinating, leading the field trips. So today is Brian Spears is with us, and in addition to being a member and an active member, Brian is also was a student at the Brooks Institute of Photography and at California State University, San Bernardino. His work has been shown worldwide in numerous magazines, including National Geographic and Digital Photographer. He is currently a freelance photographer for local papers and publications. So please welcome Brian.
We went down to a horrible photo. I can do it, 'cause I don't even know what the slides are. So today we're going to talk about photo projects. And everybody has thought about it or has done one in their past or are doing one now. So what we're going to do is look at some of them. And I know, great photo. That was Veterans Day 2 years ago here in Redlands. So what is a photo project? All mine specifically are on the idea of a photojournalistic aspect. What can I learn? How can I do it in real world scenarios? I don't edit ever. Everything I do is also a way to document something. So it could be anything from a watch, could be fire trucks, which I love taking photos of because sometimes when you're on a fire, you need to know which fire trucks or which groups are around. So the world I look at is always not that good. I look at it everything from two sides like a coin, the good and the bad. So my photo projects, I try to look at the world as a good way, which is instead of seeing fires, people getting killed in car accidents and all that. I also try to do it that sometimes certain ones that will be idea of historical. So then you'll see coming up on that. There are many types of photo projects, as you probably have all heard. Probably the most common one you've ever heard is the 365-day project. Taking a photo every day for the whole year and all that. There are numerous groups that do that. One of the great websites is 365dayproject.org. There's also Reddit groups. There's also a 52-week project, and they have books on that now, which are great different topics. And they also have the Instagrams and Reddit and TikTok and all that, whatever TikTok is. But a photo project can be anything that you want. You have kids, you have pets, take photos of your kids growing up. That could be a photo project. It could be restoring your car. It could be your trip to Hawaii. It's a photo project. You're still documenting something in an order. And it's just for fun. How I start. So I always think about something I want to do that is anthropological in nature. That's one big thing, anthropological in nature for me. So I brainstorm, I do studying beforehand, and I have books. I have gotten rid of them, but books upon books of different subjects. It could be from ancient Egypt to Native Americans, which I have hundreds of, different things like that. And do I want to do an aspect of and how I want to do it? So it will be a topic that I will research prior when I have an idea. And I have a book of ideas all the time going on. Even right now, one of my new ideas is crosses and how the history of the cross started, which people don't think about anthropologically. I always follow certain things, no matter what. And these are it. I define my narrative, what I want to tell. So it could be, as I say, the history of cross, which was the one I'm probably gonna start within next year or this year. And the origin of it to what we see of now. Is there a message I want to tell? How, if there is, how am I going to tell it? Am I going to do it for myself, to an audience? Am I going to do it as a web page, or blog, or a magazine article? How will you benefit? How will I benefit from it? Is there something that you will learn on with me? Because if you're not learning and I'm not learning, there's no reason for me to do it at all. And I write a summary, as I say, an outline of what my idea is. And I don't do it on paper usually. I use Trello. It's a great app and a website, and you can make different boards. And I can show you later. I love that website. My projects I am doing now. You saw some of them before. You are what you wear. If you were at the presentation, we had the showing on, I can't remember, photo critique. I brought some of my photos along. They were done when I was in high school and in college. It's a project I started in 2005, and I'm still doing it. And it's a good idea because people don't think about it. What you are, what you wear. What do we look at as a costume, regalia, or a uniform? And sometimes those overlap. And traveling the world, I've seen, like, from the Beefeaters to USPS, they changed their uniform, which is interesting. TSA, which you're not allowed to photograph, found out. China was a very bad one. I photographed a guy there, a police officer, almost got arrested, one of my many times. Some of the other ones, the Innuendo trilogy, which I'll bring up in later, which is fun. The benches, and you've seen them in Redlands. And I saw them coming up and I loved them. And they're all the benches that you see that are painted by the artists, local artists. And I've been photographing every one I can find. And it started in Palm Springs for the project. So I've been out there, but I'm now photographing every single one I can find in the Inland Empire. And there are new ones coming up all the time. Other ones, wings. And you see, probably the closest one is in the Umbrella Alley, the wings that you see of people doing. That's a new thing I just started. They're unique. The artists are so talented to see. The colors, the definition, what are wings? Are they some are butterflies, some of are just, one of them's in Riverside that has donuts with it. It's just fun. Stop signs. You'll see something about that later also. And they're unique because they're all graffiti. And water related. I work in the water industry. So I've grown up with it. And water related are fire hydrants. What are the differences of fire hydrants from clouds and all that? And there are different designs around the world what you have. And then a new one I had that was just a time constraint. And this we'll get later, which is COVID-19. So how do I research my subjects? Main list. And interviews. Some of them, I talk to the artists, so the benches. I talk to the people who work for the fire hydrants, firemen. I interview the people who wear the regalia, the uniforms. Sometimes not entirely legal from the point of view, but I interview. I write it down, I record it. I don't care. I have references. I read the books. I own the books. I have so many of them, and I still do them. Archives. If you want to look for old information, some of the best link, the AK Smiley Library, the Heritage Room. You can find some really good archival history online. UCLA, USC, their archives are phenomenal to get some information. Cal State San Bernardino, their museum, phenomenal. Exhibitions. So there's if they have like a Edward Curtis, or there's a museum doing an exhibition of, say, the ancient Egyptian, I'll probably go to it, photograph it, and document it. So I have information where it was from, the different dynasties and all that. because sometimes you will not see those artifacts or that items outside that exhibit ever, unless you go to that country or they bring it out specifically for that exhibit to show the world, and then they go back into archives. TED Talks. I don't know if anybody actually listens to them or watches them. They are phenomenal. I watch as many as I can. It is like watching a podcast, but you have some of the most intellectual minds in the world telling you everything what you're looking for. Of course, the web and podcast. And does anybody know where this picture is from? Does anybody know Harry Potter? That is the bookstore for J.K. Rowling got the idea for Dumbledore's staircase in Portugal. And that is it is extremely crowded all the time. It is beautiful, it is crowded, and it's hard to get in. It's very well photographed. So, as I said, all my photo projects are anthropological. And as I was saying, the amount of information you will find on your subject is not enough for me, for my projects. I can never have too much information. The more information I have, the better. I can always get rid of it, but I never can have too much. Very wrong.
You did nothing wrong. I'm trying to get rid of that. Okay. Anybody seen the mouse? Oh, fell it. No. Never mind.
So the idea, as I say, some projects will inspire you, some others will help you realize what mistakes you didn't want to make. Give yourself a chance and get bored with the images you've seen already and other photographers could have taken. So I know it's going to be cliche, but look at the history. Some old, or I forget which husband and wife team did it in the 1800s or early 1900s. They took photos of windmills. That's all they did. Beautiful collection and all that. Edward Curtis, Native Americans, all that. Those are some of the best examples you can start with your photo projects. Look what others have done. Another thing, postcards. You'll love them. Even though you may not like them, you can love them because you can see how people have taken photos. You can see what people are wanting to buy. And that's a good way to start your project also. If you have old postcards, look at them. So this is Trello. That picture is one of my information for one of my projects. You are what you wear. That's just the Native American aspect. That is every powwow I've been to, every close-up thing I want to get, every tribe I can find. And I separated it so detailed to the north for each region of the Native Americans. And it gets down to the point that some of those are actually 4 or 5, the same tribe, but 4 or 5 different versions of it in that one region. So you have like the Sioux tribes. You have Lakota, Dakota, Oglala, regular Sioux, and that's just the Sioux. Then you can get so detailed. As I say, there's not enough. That's why I do everything online. You can't have too much information. Planning, organizing it, like I have right here. I'm organizing everything. Set a timeline. How long do you want your project to be? So is it 365, 52 week? Do you want it to be 12 month, a photo a month? Even 7 days, one every day for a week. It doesn't matter. Set a timeline and try to stick to it because it gives you something to strive for. Everybody has a cell phone that's a smartphone, I hope. You have reminders. Set a reminder on your phone to do it. You haven't done it, gone out to do a photo yet. It doesn't matter if it's a good photo or a bad photo. Take one. Try to do a photo a day. It doesn't even matter if it's a project. Just practice. Make a shot list. What are you trying to do for your subjects, for your idea? That's why I have like the close-ups. I want to get certain aspects. The moccasins, the bezel or something like that. Location scouting. And that is going to be a big thing I'll explain next. And what are you going to shoot with? What type of camera? What type of lenses? Are you going to restrict your idea to only one camera, one lens? So a Canon, whatever Canon you have, 50mm. That's all you're going to use for your whole project. It's not easy. An 85mm is even harder to do. Great for portraits. So what are you going to shoot with? So 2 projects I'm doing right now, as I said, you are what you wear. The other one for COVID-19. These are 2 big dramatic things for locations and timeline. Timeline for COVID, we all knew how long we had. Started, it ended. But the length of time is a big factor, how you want it. So technical constraints, composition, lighting, perspective, shoot consistently. That is part of my COVID-19 project. One thing I always did, no one looked at them. No one paid attention. Stand here, wait for your line and turn, do. I try to do every one I could find. They're great marketing. If you didn't look at them or paid attention, they're some of the best marketing ads you can ever see. Around the world too. I try to make my feet were always in it. I always used a cell phone. That was my constraint, always. So it was, people pass it off. No one looked, you looked at it, no one cared. Just get in line. My frame of reference, my feet. They always went in a V, so I could show off where the corners were. I only used my cell phone because I did not want to have a big camera, especially in buildings that they were like Apple, Victoria's Secret, things like that. They do not like that. Every location I found one. I didn't care if I had the same one. If it was a cleaner looking one, I took a photo of it. But every one I found, I didn't care. So the Hawaiian ones, these are from Hawaii National Park and volcanoes. These were some of the best I saw. I loved them. And like the happy face spider, which is endemic to Hawaii. And it tells you the length of 100 or 360 happy face spiders. That's 6 feet. The Honu, 6 feet of 2 of them, which are the turtle, or the bat, the Hawaiian hoary bat, which is very rare, which was 4 of those with their wings wide open. That means 6 feet, 4 of those bats. They're not that big. They're very beautiful. They're very rare. These are some of the better marketing ones. Coca-Cola. Gotta love it. Echo shoes. You're in an Echo store. Why not have your shoes on the ground? Don't remember that one. Stick a while. I cannot remember. But I love it. Everybody, kids had them. You may have had them. Those sticky hands that you threw. Just felt like a kid at home. Other ones. Yep. Seas candy. And they had some really good ones too. The top one, Sweet Treats Delicious Coffee from Dune Coffee up in Santa Barbara. 2 sharks having coffee together. It was cute. The bottom one, the Santa Barbara Aquarium. But so they were so different variety. And they're great marketing because you see that Seas Candy one, it makes you smile. So if you're not going to be shooting every day or you forget to, don't worry about it. Of course, you're going to forget some. Your camera's going to die. You're going to need new batteries. You have a memory card that's it's full. You're going to have to clean it out. You forget to charge your computer, whatever. Don't worry about it. As you get further into your project, you're going to find it's a routine. You're going to start saying, okay, I'm going to do it today. I see something, I'm going to keep doing it. And even while I'm doing it, like driving around, I will literally stop my car, make a U-turn in the middle of the road, and to get a photo of a bench or a fire hydrant I see. Yes, I have been ticketed. If I get out of them. But by the end of it, you will make a project that you will be happy with. And it's just fun. And you'll see like some of the fire hydrants in the book later, you'll see one of them is so fun to watch. Now we get into location. There are certain things you have to worry about locations when you're doing your photo projects. Public lands, your tax money paying for it, are perfectly legal to take photos of on. Once you get on private property, you have to ask permission. So anything government related, minus the White House or security and military installations, you cannot go on to without prior credentials or permission, you can take photos on. Religious places, churches, synagogues, mosques, ask permission. Private, you always have to ask permission. Museums, find out their rules online or ask the person. You can usually take photos, no flash, no tripods. And most of them now, no monopods. So getting access there, as I just said, ask permission to do it for most places or find out what the rules are. Be transparent when you ask. Tell them I'm doing a project. Tell them that you are what your plans are. And if they say, sure, no, tell them that you may, if they would like, you'll give them copies, the photos, and they will be usually, yes, we will do it. Build trust. If they say no the first time, wait a week, 2 weeks, a month, go back and say, I'm still working on my project. You're one of the places I still want to get a photo of. Is there any way I can go back, do this, and talk to the people? After, if you do it numerous times over a year, 2 years, they'll probably say yes. Example, Native Americans, when I've done it, one of them I had to ask in Sioux to ask for his photograph. And that took me 3 years to learn. Also, if you find out who they are, make a Rolodex. I know it sounds funny. Don't put it on your phone. Don't have your contacts on your phone. If they give you a business card, get one of those business card pages, put it in a binder. I have one in my car, all the police I meet, everything like that. Phones die, you lose it, you can't get access to it. Business cards, you always have, unless you lose them all. But usually you will have them in a place where you can find it. How I control. So my ideas where I go through, it's crazy. Pocket notebooks are my best friend. I have thousands of them. And most of them are actually used. These are some of my new ones I'm working on for my projects. So when I'm driving, if you're going by, walk, bike, drive, taking a bus, you see it all, like the ones on the left, all those are the major highways around here. So I'm driving in Laguna Beach, I see something, I will stop on the side, write it down so I know where I'm looking, and I'll put it in. Doesn't matter, I can always go back to it, so I remember it. So, and the ones on the right here are my projects, the fire hydrants, Joshua Tree, which I'm always up there doing photos, mezuzahs, doorknobs, you'll understand the doorknobs and all that in a minute. But I make sure that I have everything written down to make sure I don't forget things, because I'm young still and I forget everything. And writing it down makes it so you remember more. Allow for the unexpected. There will be times when you will get sick, discouraged, anything. You do not want to go out. You just want to stay at home and play with your dog, play with your cat, play with your kids. It doesn't matter. You will be discouraged when you're doing these projects. Don't let that ruin it. You will keep on going. So take your time, wait a week, month. It doesn't matter. If you're doing a long-term project, you can take that time and just relax. And just because you will get fizzled out on some of your projects. And it will keep on going and going, and you'll think about it all the time. How can I do it? How can I do it? How can I do it? And that's why I like my You Are What You Are project. I haven't done it I've been working on it for about 2 years, 2 or 3 years now. Because I got so bored with looking at what the regalia is, what are uniforms, and I haven't done it. So I just allowed myself to step away and just avoid it. And I started other projects. When you get stuck, and yes, it will happen, doesn't matter. As I just say, you will get fizzled out, you will get stuck. You will do a project for your kids, your dog, or whatever you want to do. And you will get stuck to the point that I don't want to take a photo. I've done this photo before, or I've seen that before. What are you going to do? Stop, look at it. And this is one of my favorite things. I love Big Hero 6 from Disney. If you haven't seen it, it's a great movie. I love that quote. Shake things up. Look at it from a different perspective. So it could be from like your kids or your pet. So put a GoPro, if you have one, or a camera on your dog. Put on a collar or something like that. Look at what they see as a perspective. You may get the idea of working on it from that point of view, like taking it on from their level. That's another perspective. Look at it from like a fire hydrant. Look at it from the point of view of a fireman. Just take a step back and change the whole thing. Post-production, big component of this. How are you going to present this? Are you going to do it online? Are you going to do a print? Are you going to show it on a PowerPoint? How are you going to do it? How many photos are you going to do in it? Also, this is all big components on what you're going to think about when you're done with your project, or if you're ever done with your project. But how are you going to show it? Because some people will be doing a project and they will continue to do it and update their presentations as they see fit and as new things come along. If you're doing it as a print, not constrain it to about 12 to 15 photos. Because after a while, you're going to get bored with the person's going to get bored with the project. And as we had the presenter about the portfolio. Make sure if you're doing it horizontally, all of them. If your project's going to be a horizontal, do all horizontal or all vertical. Do not do mixed. It gets confusing for a project. Especially if you're printing. That's one of those weird things I've learned on this. And if you're doing it printing, print out a soft copy. Don't do it beautiful paper and all that. Cheap. Go to Kinko or wherever. Shutterfly, Google. Print out 4x6s. Spread them out. Print out all the photos you want. Spread them out. Design it how you want. Because then you can see, oh, that photo works well with this. That doesn't work well. It doesn't matter for 1574 at most for a print now. It won't matter. You can print out a bunch of them at a time. Shutterfly, a great example also. My current projects, and as I was saying, the benches. If you've gone in Redlands, you've all seen it. It's a beautiful bench. I always shoot them two ways. A regular SLR, and I shoot them on my cell phone. I want that geolocation. Geotagging is a big component. Where are they located? Because when I'm done with this idea for Redlands alone, I'll have a map. And somebody wants to see them, we can go on ArcMap and put them in, and you can take a tour of all the benches. It's a great idea. It's fun. But I'm geolocating every single one, no matter what. Other ones that you see, sometimes I'm privileged enough to get a photo with the artist. And that's not easy. But they're all different. These are all in Redlands. The one on the bottom here is in Fontana. And they're all so unique. Where is that one? The one with the hummingbird, I think, is Rialto. Route 66 is Fontana. The one up top is in San Bernardino. And they're dramatically different from every artist's perspective. And each one is unique to where they have to apply for the grant to do this. And they have to show what their design is going to be. And it should be designed particularly to where that location is going to be and a reflection of it. So my Anyone There trilogy. Yes, I had to figure out a way to show with a joke. There are 3 of them. It's a trilogy. I love it. So it's doorbells. You really push my buttons. I get a rise out of you, mailboxes. And how about them knockers? Doorbells. And they're so different in every aspect, but they're all things anthropologically that have been used for decades that we're not seeing anymore. Really, everybody's using ring systems, so we can see live view of who's there. Door knockers are no longer there. We're seeing same way with doorbells, the same thing. Where everything is so much ingrained with digital, where the mail is not happening except for junk mail that most of us will get, or Christmas cards or cards. They're all so unique. So some of these are some ones I found. Scotland, Redlands, Montana. So they're all unique. And working in the water industry and testing, I travel a lot, so I see all these things. So it's fun. But door knockers, you don't see them in America anymore. Doorbells, you don't see them anymore. The Wings Project. The one in Redlands, as everybody knows. That one to the left is in Padua Hills. Beautiful piece. But they're so different. They're still wings, but they're so different in every way. The one up is Laguna, so the other one that's in Rainbow is in Hobby, Hawaii. Then Riverside. Gotta love the donut. Fire hydrants. As I say, I work in the water industry, I love it. That's in China, outside of Shanghai, at one the premiere. Each one has one of the ideas. Each one has a unique design. Are they wet barrel or dry barrel? And that gets into working in the industry. Location. Each country, each city, each state has different regulations. And are they painted? Like the Minion, which is one of my absolute favorite ones. The one up right here is in Jerome, Arizona. Completely different to the bottom one here, which is in Sacramento. Same basic concept for everything, but so unique in design. Another one I loved, Power to the People. I love the unique aspect of power lines. And they can be such beautiful pieces of artwork. And people don't think about it, just the wires, how they are done. And if you do it correctly, like I don't use contrast filters or anything like this. I don't do any post-process at all. It's just, I change it in settings in the camera, and it's all usually manual. So that's why I get these bright colors or something like that, or I make the halo effect by putting my hands around it. But I love the idea of just the design of a power line and a power pole. They're so unique. One of my newer projects, born and raised Jewish, don't practice anymore. But one of the biggest things is the Shema in Vehafta. And it says, you shall bind them on the doorposts in your house and the gates of your cities. And that's the mezuzah. And each place, each area for the Jewish culture has such a unique design that they make them. And they're sometimes so beautiful. And that's what I've been starting to document right now. The left one is actually my uncle, putting on the mezuzah on the synagogue in Redlands. Now the stop signs. And yes, that was going to be part of the project, but no. Everything I do on that one has to be modified. Graffiti. I love graffiti. I absolutely adore it. Some of it is bad, some of it's good, but I absolutely love graffiti. But these are the ones I'm talking about. That stop sign that says ZZ on top was cleaned up. It was outside of Kaiser and Redlands. So instead of ZZ stop, it's ZZ top. I love that. In Hobby, they got rid of that sign. Stop war for protesting. And then someone put a sticker, stop doubting yourself. I just love that. Just the concepts. that people are using for stock. They're fun. People don't think about using it as a way of protest, a way of expressing themselves, but sometimes you'll find them. Not easy, but then you are what you wear. That is the World War I veteran. And that's regalia, uniform, and costume. So regalia, Ogala Sioux, uniform, something you may not think about. It's tax season. That guy, homeless, was getting his job doing that every day. It is technically a uniform. That is what they're outside wait getting you to get their taxes. You don't think of it as a uniform, you think of it as a costume, but that's their uniform that they get for Liberty tax. And then Renaissance Fair. A guy dressed up as the Phantom of the Opera, his interpretation of it. That would be a major costume. But then we get to the line of, what about superheroes? Spider-Man, Batman, are they costume or a uniform? And that's what I'm trying to figure out now for that bridge. Technically, in the idea of them, they are uniform. They're not a costume. So, does a uniform show your identity, or does a costume protect your identity? So how does that work? Sometimes a project can be a challenge. And this is one I'm liking, I'm just starting. U-Haul trucks. Everybody sees them. They're over 200 or 300 different designs on them. All across America, the America the Beautiful series, the regular American ones, the Canada ones. Each one's have a number and they all have different quotes and information on it. Great trivia if you're going on Jeopardy. They use these a lot. It's a challenge to get a good photo of every one of them, clean and in good quality and everything. Another one that I've been seeing, the painted, that you'll see in downtown San Bernardino, all the power stations or power boxes, they're all getting designed now, like the benches. People are painting them. That would be a great project if you want to do one on just all of the ones in Redlands, all the ones in San Bernardino. Downtown San Bernardino, you have lots of Star Wars. It's a great way for a project because people they look at them, they don't think about them. It's a great way to express it. But most importantly, doesn't matter what project you do, the project, if you're not having fun or learning, don't do it. You should be able to learn, you should be able to have fun with it. So if you're doing your project and you feel like you are, as I say, in a stopping point or a block, pick a new one, stop it, get rid of it, put it away for some time, look at it differently, and then come back to it. You may get new ideas, but if you're not having fun, don't do it. That was the big thing. And ideas, places where you can get some ideas, Reddit, great example, lots of photography groups on Reddit. And 365projects.org. That's a really cool one. If you're doing one, you can actually post your photo every day. And they'll give you prompts, just like Reddit, and they'll give you ideas. That's it. And back here, I have my project. So you can see how I do it.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Let's,
Any questions?
who's done projects? Who's done photo projects?
Did the 365 about 10 years ago when I was first starting, and it was good. It taught me two things: how to use my camera, which I had to go out every day, and also how to look and see differently. And I had objectives. I wrote objectives to myself, what I want to get from this project. And about 3 months into it, I sat down and reviewed my objectives. So I was getting really bored, but I was meeting them, so I kept doing it. Did it for a year. So not every day. I mean, there probably were maybe 20 days out of the year I did.
So I try that 365.
Yeah.
I did it differently. I try to do based on history, that day in history.
Well, that'd be cool.
And that was the hardest thing you could ever do.
Every day has
January
a special
1st
designation.
was the Euro. Everything, the euro came into existence at one point in January 1st, the day SOS came out. And it was so hard to figure out what to photograph. And I had the whole list going on for calendars, different ones from the History Channel, Encyclopedia Britannica, that day in history, and figure out how am I going to photograph it. At one point, I went out to Moreno Valley just to get a picture of a donkey, because that was when the donkey was adopted as the symbol for one of the political parties. It got ridiculous. I just had to stop. It was not, it wasn't fun.
The
It
one
was
I
more-
did, they gave me themes every day, but it could be things like yellow, happy, so it wasn't real constrictive.
Who else had a project? Maggie, what are you doing?
Barn quilts.
Barn quilts.
Oh, yeah.
So where do you photograph a barn? What is a barn quilt? And where do you find them?
We were in Kentucky. My family is half the year in Kentucky, half in California. So we were in Kentucky and driving by all of these gorgeous barns, and they would have quilts on them. So there's a lot of preservation of the quilts. It goes back to the times of the Underground Railroad, and it signified a safe place for slaves to be able to stay. So there's a lot, but there's so many of them there's a resurgence in them. Some people are just putting them up just because they look really cool, but they're basically your iconic quilt pieces. And so in the quilting world, you have different types of patterns that signify different things. So those are all emblazoned across some of the barns. And some of them are huge. They're just absolutely huge. And they made off the whole side of a barn. Or some are just a little bit smaller, but a lot of fun.
Who else is doing projects? Well, I just started a project. The idea is to photograph the same place once a month to catch the seasons. So I'm driving up to Oakland. I have 2 spots picked out, and I'll take a picture. So I took my first one in January. Tried to get up there by the snow, but it would already melted by the time I got there. But try to catch the season. So I should be able to see some fall, when see the green of spring, the apples on the trees, the fall. And so that's my project for the year. Another project I've done in the past was trying to take the pictures from downtown. I saw the murals. So I did the murals of Redlands project. And it was, I really appreciated what you were talking about in terms of, I want to get all the U-Hauls. One of the things I've found out about photography, it's very similar to Pokemon. Got to catch them all, right? And when you start a project like that, I want to do all of the benches. I want to do all of and that's a great way to just have it. And then having the geotag is awesome because Esri has they have the free system, and you can go ahead and then put it all in, and you're actually doing a service for other people who are trying to find these things and look for these things. So it's not just a selfish project. These are altruistic, but they're also fascinating, and they're fun. And I found that there was over, because I saw a mural here, and then I saw a mural there, and I said, what do you think there are? 6, 12? I'm a bad guesser. There was over 30 murals downtown between State Street, plus or minus 1 block. And it was a very fun project. It took me about 2 years to do. I know Jim Hendon one time did a project of all of the stained glass windows. He did a presentation for us a few years ago, and a talk on that. And they can be very, very satisfying. Yep.
And then cemeteries.
Oh,
I document cemeteries every time I go. It's my favorite thing to photograph, honestly. There are cemeteries. And it is the most peaceful place you could go to. But you can learn more about a culture from the cemetery than you can from almost any place else.
Yes.
Between religious to how they bury their dead, the iconography, everything is right there for the whole history of a group, of a city, a town, or a country, right there in the cemetery. And that's something I've, anthropologically, this is probably the most important thing I've ever photographed. And sometimes I have some of the last photographs of that cemetery plot because they get destroyed or a fire happens and they're gone. And that's a great way if they need to have information, you also have it at their disposal if they need help. Too.
So questions on photo projects?
You mentioned a what?
Geotag.
Geotag.
I'm not sure
Okay.
what that is.
Okay, I can explain that very well because that's my major.
All right, explain it for a newbie. So, not up here, down over here.
So geotag. So every time you see you have a map and you put a pin on it, that point is a geolocation.
Okay,
A geolocation is an actual grid point on a map. So when you take a photo, and depending on your camera, if you have this, most people have a cell phone, you take a photo on it. It will give you in the EXIF data, which is all the information of the photo. It will show you where you took the photo. So you can look at any photo. I can bring one up right now. Tabs on right here.
It gives you the exact.
And it gives you the exact,
Yeah.
the exact map where it is, and it will tell you, that's why I use my cell phone. It gives me better location than any of the cameras out. Because sometimes the camera on your SLR has one, but it won't geolocate quickly. The cell phone will, that's why I always do it. And it tells me also all the information I need on it for the
okay.
photo. So at geolocation, like I can zoom in on exactly the location on a map, right where I took it.
So,
And then when you put it into your computer, that photo, it will also transfer all the data from that geolocation to Photoshop, Lightroom, Capture One, Nikon software, and it'll let you locate on a map where all the photos are.
So Julie, you work for Esri, and so what's a different take on the geo? How would you describe it?
So for us, we have two different types of ways to describe the coordinates. One is longitude and latitude, or X or Y coordinates. So the X and Y are more like meters, kilometers, versus 10 degrees north, 30 degrees west.
This tells you where you took your photo,
Yeah.
and they embed it inside of the photo, and so it's easy to make maps. So you can find another project that I do is I put up solar cans or solar pucks. I do 6 months at a time solography. Well, 6 months later, where the heck did I put that thing? It's in Cabazon somewhere. And so with that, I'm able to look on my phone and find out, oh, that's right, I took this dirt path, and I'm able to then find the things because I'm able to look them up. Russ, you had something?
Brian already covered it. The fact that when you geotag something with your phone, you upload that picture into Lightroom, and you can go to, when you're in the library module, you can go over to maps. It will show you right where the picture's taken. So it's oftentimes good to not only, if you're shooting with a camera, to also take a picture with your iPhone of the same location. So that way, when you want to go back and find, where did I take that picture at? You can look on the picture and say, oh, that's where I took that.
Yeah.
Or if you're on a trip, you forget what day you did it on.
Where at the time.
Yeah, time and place.
Zoomers, got a question?
Yeah, good question. Hey, anybody on Zoom? Hello? You got a question for Brian?
I was just thinking, you can you can also use Lightroom to manually put in the information on where the picture was taken. If you didn't have a camera that had any kind of geolocation on it at the time.
You can. Some of the new problems are a lot of the ones that they want, depending on where you are, like in Hawaii or Joshua Tree, they want the geo coordinates. You cannot just say Joshua Tree or Skull Rock. They want the actual geo coordinates in Lightroom now.
But you can also bring up a picture or a map in Lightroom and stick a pin in that map where it was. And in fact, you could do a whole bunch of them if they were all taken at the same place.
There's the easy way and then there's the hard way. That's the hard way, but it's doable.
It is
I mean, you know,
very-
depending on how important it is for you to do. Okay, projects, 365. I have always been intimidated by a 365-degree or that's too many for me. I know my schedule and I know myself.
Yeah.
So I won't start that because I know that I will just set myself up for failure.
One of my favorite ones for that 365, selfies. A lot of celebrities do 365 selfies. It is very common to do selfies for 365-day projects.
Yeah. So one of the other challenges, you know, we have the photogram challenge of the month. And so that's another way, that's another, you know, if you think of a challenge or a project, you know, just commit to one of those. All right, the photogram challenge for this month is Redlands. Now, this was interesting. Somebody took a photo of a car that was in Redlands, which is true. It is in Redlands. But you know, I could take a picture of a flower and it is also in Redlands, but I don't know that it's Redlands, right? So there's a difference between taking a picture in and taking a picture of. And so, you know, and it may not have to be a picture of the Redlands Bowl, but it has to be Redlands-esque, right? It has to have a feel and a flavor of Redlands. How would you go about doing that? You know, so there's challenges all around you and opportunities, you know, to do that. And Brian, thank you very much.
Another one I do is manhole covers.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Because you travel, Tromso, they have their logo. Japan is probably the most famous place. If you want to play Pokemon, look at the manhole cover. They do them every city. They change them up all the time. Disneyland, famous for their manhole cover. They have 2 of them, different ones. And you'll see like in San Bernardino, they have 3 or 4 different ones now. One's made in India, one's made in Mexico, one's made in the United States. You know, and they all say where they're made. It's just really unusual to see.
Yeah, gotta catch them all. Well, thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate it. And feel free to stick around, talk about the next project, something, you know, yik yak, and can't wait to see your photos. See you on Zoom. Uh-oh.
Bring it on.
That's somebody, somebody's here. Did you get, So Cheryl, this here, right here. I hit stop on my end.